The Dubbing King software presents What Does Video Production Entail? A comprehensive guide. What is video production? Video production is the process of producing video content. It is the equivalent of filmmaking, but with images recorded digitally instead of on film stock. Videos come in many shapes and sizes, from a simple iPhone video all the way up to major Hollywood films. For most videos, there are too many moving parts to leave your process to chance. There are 3 stages of video production: pre-production, production, also known as principal photography, and post-production. What is the video production process? Video production is more than simply pressing the record button on your video camera. The process of creating a video from concept to completion consists of 3 phases: pre-production, production, and post-production. Phase 1, pre-production, is where all the planning and coordination happens. Phase 2, production, is when you capture all the elements that will be in your final video, and Phase 3, post-production, is where all the elements get edited together and combined to create the final video. Explaining the video production process. While the video production process will vary based on the style, content, timeline, effort, and budget, there are some basic building blocks that are common among successful video producers. Phase 1, pre-production. The first step in the process of creating a video is all about preparation and setting the groundwork. During this phase, it's essential to do the planning, research, problem solving, and organization necessary to set your video project up to be successful. The pre-production phase includes video strategy/goals, budget/scope, story selection, project timeline, script creation, talent/characters, production team/equipment needs, location scouting. In order to identify all of these elements, it's important to conduct a series of meetings. Again, this process will vary based on the team and the scope of your project, but here are some basics to help you get started. What does pre-production entail? 1. Fact-finding. Bring your company stakeholders and video production team together to discuss the purpose, strategy, and goals for your video and how it will be used after it is finalized. If you are planning to work with an external video production company, this is the part of the process where you'll want to communicate things like branding, target audience, and the tone and feel for the piece. 2. Pre-production meeting. This meeting is typically held between your video producer and the primary point person for the project. Make sure to set the timeline, identify the characters, and finalize any location details. This meeting can be done over the phone or in person. 3. Site visit. Optional, depending on the complexity of the shoot, it can be helpful to do a site visit to your location, especially if neither the producer nor videographer has seen it. 4. Shoot preparation. Prior to showing up on site for your video shoot, your video producer should ensure that scripts have been reviewed and approved, interview questions discussed, characters are vetted, a schedule is finalized, and locations are confirmed. All these details will help ensure that the production phase goes smoothly. Phase 2, production. The meetings are over, the preparation is complete. Now, it's time to have some fun. The production phase is where you capture all the interviews and footage for your video. This is the part where the story begins to come to life. The production phase is where all the raw materials for your video will be captured. If you have specific visions, ideas, or visuals that you want to be included in the final product, be sure that you have clearly communicated that with your producer before the end of the production phase. What does production entail? Setting up the sound/lighting/video equipment. Conducting interviews. Recording voiceovers, if they are needed for your project. Capturing B-roll, extra footage that is used to support your story. Especially if you are using an external video team, we recommend the primary point person is on location to act as the conduit between the video producer and your brand. Phase 3, Post-Production. After the production phase is finished, the producer and editor go to work. During the post-production phase, your video production team will begin the process to organize, plan, and edit the actual video. Your producer will carefully review all the footage and transcribe all of the interviews conducted. Then, they will assemble the story and the video editor does their magic to bring all the pieces together. What does post-production entail? Logging the interviews. Producing the final story. Music selection. Video editing. Reviews/approvals. Final delivery. Your video production team will handle all the nuts and bolts of making your project come to life. So, just sit tight and wait for the magic to happen. This process takes some time and creativity, so don't expect that it will happen overnight. Every production company will have different timelines for the post-production phase, but you can plan for it to take approximately 6 to 8 weeks unless you've discussed another plan with your company. Note, if you are looking for a project with shorter turnaround time, be sure to mention that to your video team. Many companies have the ability to work within your timeline if you make that clear from the beginning of the project. Once your video team has created a draft of the video project, it'll be time for your project point person and key stakeholders to step back into the mix. Initial approval and revisions. Once the initial version of the video is edited, it's time to review the work. Assuming there are some changes that need to be made, the revision process can begin. If you are working with a video company, there may be a predefined number of revisions or hours set aside for revisions. Final delivery. Once the video is finalized and approved, it's time to export the video to its final format. If you are planning to use the video on a specific platform, or platforms, be sure to communicate that with your video team. All platforms, YouTube, Facebook, etc., have slightly different specifications for optimal video playback. Why is a video production process important? Dependability. Whether you're shooting on location, in a studio, at your office, or at a friend's home, there are a lot of moving pieces that have to come together. Does the time and place work for all members of the crew? How about actors or spokespeople? Identifying all of these details is crucial, and it is essential to do it in a logical, systematic fashion. Predictable timeline. Video production takes time. For anything more than an iPhone video, you don't just pick up a camera one day and have a video in your hands the next. So, how much planning time do you need before the shoot and how much editing time afterward? It's only guesswork unless you have a real process. An established and tested video process can help you go from an educated guess to an accurate prediction. Accurate pricing. Speaking of pricing, most production rates are based on time. The more hours required to plan, shoot, and edit the project, the more it costs. And when you add extra days or crew members, that obviously add to the total time and price. Fewer revisions. When you nail down your objectives, discuss the details in pre-production, and then execute to match your vision, you shouldn't end up with many revisions at the end of your project. On the other hand, if you go through that whole project without a real process, you may end up with problems that require extra editing and time to resolve. Different production companies and videographers may have different processes, but the bottom line is that process allows video teams to have a predictable pace, dependable results, ensures quality and accountability. Making video production even smoother. Now you know the steps it takes to produce a corporate video, you're ready to dive into your first video project without fear. But before you go, here are my last tips on making video production as smooth as possible. Be organized. Do your research in good timing. If you want to use your logo in the video, get a high-quality version ready to save rushing around at the last minute. Remember that the perfect is the enemy of the good. Don't spend forever on endless revisions. Create a video that you're happy with and that fulfills the brief, and then let it loose. If you don't have the expertise, resources or time to produce video content in-house, look externally. Find the right video agency for you and let them guide you through the process. If you're working with professionals, trust them and let them do their jobs. You chose them for a reason after all. So if they tell you something isn't working in your script, they're most likely right. Keep learning and trying new things. The only way anyone becomes an expert in the video is through practice and experience. Conclusion. While every production company and video project are different, there are some key elements that will help your video project go as smoothly as possible. Whether you are working with your internal video team or a video production company, make sure that you have an established video production